Panelists are already lined up, so without further ado, let's convene tonight's summit. And tonight, joining us, political strategist Erin Elmore from Point U.S.A, a contributor and attorney for Point U.S.A, director of Republican Overseas Yigal Marcus, and Ken Toltz, former Democrat candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives. What a panel! Thank you all so very much for joining us tonight. As our main topic, Donald Trump found guilty of fraud. Fake it till you make it, so to speak, for making himself a reputation of a business genius. Well, in real life, according to the New York court, not so much. But yes or no, it doesn't matter, because the question is this make-believe hampering Trump's chances to get back to D.C.? As simple as that. So let's take a closer look and pick up our conversation from there.
And another day in the saga of former President Donald Trump's legal woes. The latest ruling came on Tuesday, as a New York judge ruled that Trump committed fraud for a number of years while building his famed real estate empire. The judge presiding canceled the Trump Organization's business certification. The former president could be facing a maximum of $250 million in penalties and a ban on business dealings in New York State. This just one case out of 91 charges across 4 indictments that he faces, the most serious being an investigation into his role in the January 6th Capitol riots. The trial set to begin in March 2024. But Trump staying steadfast in denying wrongdoings and called the newest case part of a political witch hunt. The former president currently holds an approximate lead of more than 50% over his GOP opponents. And with his Republican nomination seemingly inevitable, he even has a 2.4% edge over his main opponent, President Joe Biden. As this saga continues, new revelations are made public every day. So what's next for Trump?
So let's get to it. What is next for Donald Trump? Dear panelists, as always, we begin with our quick fire round. 30 seconds each to lay out your initial stance on the matter, and we take it from there. Erin Elmore, please take the lead. Your 30 seconds are on.
What's next for Trump? Every time he has legal action, he soars in the polls. So more success, I'm quite sure. This New York case will be appealed, like all of the rest of them. Perhaps Donald Trump is going to take a round of golf, celebrate his Washington Post ABC poll numbers that have him over Biden by at least 10 points, or the JJ Partners poll that says more than half of Americans think President Biden was probably involved with his son's business dealings. Trump is soaring against Republicans, soaring against Joe Biden. I think he should take a rest, relax, watch this ridiculous debate, and keep it going.
And let the others do the work for him, eh? Yigal Marcus, your thoughts?
Trump is, in fact, soaring against his fellow Republicans. The problem is he still hovers around 50%. So if this case consolidates to one candidate, he may have a problem. And the more these things come out, the more Americans are like, do we really need this? Again, as I said before in this program, we have to divide the personality from the policies. He was a magnificent president when it came to policy, but are Americans getting tired of the personality and the baggage that he brings to the ticket? He should be at 95% Republican popularity. He's not. That could be an opening for one of the other candidates.
All right, last but definitely not least, Ken Toltz, your take.
Ellie, thank you. Well, as your intro story said, the man was just adjudicated a fraud by a New York State judge. His business dealings are fraudulent. He is heading for either jail, or he's heading for bankruptcy, or he's heading to lose his business. That's where this man is going. But I think we should always remember 74 million Americans voted for Donald Trump with their eyes wide open in November. He's still a political force in the GOP. I won't deny that. That's just very sad for America.
All right. On that note, let's please feel free to engage in a conversation, to interact. But before we do that, let's hear it from the man of the hour himself, Trump. Very much keeping with his line, if you will, essentially saying, you know what, just keep those indictments coming. They're good for political business. Let's take a listen.
fact, I'm getting a little concerned because we had a poll this weekend that was so big. I said, here we go, more indictments. Every time we get a good poll, we get indicted.
Yeah. So Yigal, can we deny this opposite correlation, so to speak? More indictments, more support?
Well, here's the problem with the current case. The current case actually has documents that he himself submitted to banks in order to get these loans. And when people realize that, when you lie in a document, like when you say that your apartment's 30,000 square feet, but it's 11,000 square feet, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, people are going to begin thinking like, who are the people that are most to lose by that kind of behavior? And the answer is investors, shareholders of these banks, and other customers. And so when it begins affecting them, when they realize that kind of behavior actually affects them personally, I think they're going to rethink this. And again, that's why I think there still remains a significant opening for one of the other candidates to really open this campaign and make it competitive.
Erin, please chime in.
Yeah. So if you really peel back the layers of the New York case, as I have as an attorney, and you realize that this is a complete political prosecution. I've spent a lot of time at Mar-a-Lago. I live in Palm Beach County. The 18 to 27, I believe, $1 million valuation is absolutely absurd. You can't buy a speck of sand in Palm Beach on the island for that number. So this is absolutely something that's going to be appealed. This judge is a political advocate, clearly, and it should really scare every American, right, left, and center, that if you are in a position of political power about to take down the sitting president of the United States because he can barely stand himself, you may be prosecuted. They're not coming for Donald Trump. They're coming for all of us. He's just in the way.
Ken, I do have to ask, is the justice system to an extent setting its own trap in the sense that with all those cases, all those cases just, underlying the notion of system versus men, that the judiciary is politically utilized?
I think that's a convenient talking point, but the facts are the facts. This man is facing 91 counts of indictments in 4 different cases. These are based on evidence. These are based on people who testified. This is not something that they made up out of whole cloth. There's no witch to hunt here. There's just a fraudulent man who is dishonest and really frightening. And Erin, I really wonder, how can you justify $100 million of contributor money going to pay lawyers? I'd really like to hear you tell me how that works for a campaign for the U.S. president.
I bought one of his mugshot T-shirts, so it went directly to the campaign and to pay his legal fees. I think every American like me that believes in justice for all, especially Hunter Biden, thinks that we are happy. I would pay 3 times as much because I want to see Donald Trump in the White House in 2024 because this is absolutely disgusting and sick. Sure, I'm happy to pay his legal bills. By the way, we're covering for Senator Menendez in New Jersey and all these corrupt politicians. All of our money is going to fund Ukraine and their pensions, basically. What is the difference? We have no accounting of the money going to Ukraine. So why is President Trump's legal fees that we have chosen to pay any concern? It is our choice. You did not make us do this. This is not taxpayer money.
Erin, with a lot of respect,
it's contributor money.
I do respect you, and I do respect your opinion, but I do want to. It's a great quote from Ronald Reagan, who said, "We must reject the idea that every time a law is broken, society is guilty rather than the lawbreaker. It is time to restore the American precept that each individual is accountable for his actions. That means Hunter Biden, it means Joe Biden, and it does mean Donald Trump." The problem, Erin, is that not once has President Trump ever accepted responsibility when he does something wrong. He always blames others, but he always accepts the reward when he does something right. Leadership, in my opinion, with a tremendous amount of respect, because I think he was a great president, leadership is when sometimes you say, I was wrong. And I take responsibility for that. People want that today. They want more integrity from our leaders, and we're not getting it. We're not getting it certainly from this president and the Biden crime family. But we've got to get it from President Trump. We've never gotten it.
The
and
Biden
I think
crime
it's time,
family?
if he was smart, if I was President Trump and I was running his campaign, I would say at some point you got to accept accountability and apologize. And you know what?
Yeah.
His story would be over, and he can resume his campaign.
Not in legal
He doesn't do that, and I think Americans are becoming tired of it.
Yeah.
I don't think they care either way, and I don't think he should apologize for any of these legal matters at all, any way, shape, or form. I think he should plead not guilty, and everyone is innocent until proven guilty.
Ken.
And you're totally fine with all of your contributors' money going to pay lawyers and not to further the cause of a president running in his platform.
As we say in the law, asked and answered, my friend.
All right. And on that
I
note,
think at the end of the day, voters can make that decision. I don't think this is for us to decide how voters' money should be spent. If they don't want to have the money spent that way, they won't contribute. If they do contribute and it gets spent that way, that's their right. This is America. It's democracy.
Well, I think that's the actual point, is that when the contributors understand that their money is going to pay Trump's lawyers, will they continue contributing? And this is only the first 6 months of 2023, Erin. This is going to go on for another year. They're going to keep contributing till they can pay his lawyers.
No one cares. I think you're focusing on this point that you want to make be a thing, but I assure you, in MAGA world, no one gives a rip.
But you know what? I do want to circle back to...
Maybe if it went to hookers like Hunter Biden's tax write-offs, it would be a little better for you. Maybe a little more palatable for you.
That's so sad. That's so sad for the United States of America.
It is sad that your president's son is a crackhead that dropped a gun near a school, that slept with his dead brother's wife, who then got a stripper pregnant and denied that he was the father and hid out in the White House so he didn't have to pay child support, and went over with Burisma and tried to lie on his tax returns about the money he was obtaining here. We've heard from Tony Bobulinski. We've heard from Devin Archer. We've heard from whistleblowers. How much more evidence do you need? Would you rather me have a pallet full of cash with Joe Biden's name on it? Is that what you're waiting for?
You know, I come from Colorado, and you really remind me of Lauren Boebert. You really remind me of Lauren Boebert.
She looks great in a bathing suit. You know, you remind me of Bernie Sanders. Let's not insult a woman. Very disrespectful to the fairer sex.
Can I just ask a very simple question, Ken? Here's a very simple question. If, in fact, voters believed that these were political prosecutions, don't you think them contributing to his campaign and helping support and defend him against those political prosecutions is appropriate? Yes
Hasn't
or no?
this guy advertised himself as a successful billionaire for all these years? Can't he pay his own lawyers? The New York judge just said he's a fraud.
This issue is
they
not
said
only
that
about
all of
Donald
his
Trump,
financial
it's about
statements
the
are
American people,
fraudulent,
and it's about
and
the
they're going to
future
put
of
him
our
out of
democracy.
business.
This is not limited to one person. It's not limited to one person. And I'm not an apologist for Donald Trump, but there are certain elements of the prosecutions that he's facing that are political in nature. There are certain that are less so, and I'd be the first person to voice my opinion when I think he's wrong. But a lot of these prosecutions are clearly political, and if I was a voter and I believed in defending him, I would contribute and want him to be defended, because you know what? We cannot have a country.
If you guys want to pay Donald Trump's legal fees, more power to you.
If you're saying they're going to put Donald Trump out of business, he has several businesses across the world, from the Middle East to our Gaelic countries to California to Florida. He might not be able to do business in New York, but by the way, who would want to?
Yeah, but by the way, the
Also
Saudis
New
are going to
Jersey.
pay for his legal bills? Is that what you're suggesting? You're suggesting the Saudis are going to pay his legal bills next?
You're literally like a record. I love a record player. It's like, bring it back. You're literally like a record player on repeat. Maybe get a new talking point.
All right. On that note, gentlemen, we're taking a short break, but obviously we have so much more to unpack as the second GOP debate is fast approaching, and the elephant will not be in the room. Trump not going to attend once again. A wise call on behalf of the former/hopeful president. We will be discussing right after the break. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back. Back to the summit. Still with us, Ken Toltz, Erin, Elmore, and Yigal Marcus. Thank you very much, dear panelists, for staying with us. We're also staying on topic, of course, but before we get back to our conversation, Trump skipping another presidential GOP debate tonight, that is. Is it a right call on his behalf? Let's take a listen to what former House Speaker Paul Ryan thinks.
The party that puts the first fresh face forward wins this election. If the Democrats somehow swap out Biden with I don't know who, they're going to win. If we swap out Trump, I think something easier to do, frankly, we're going to win. Because if it's Biden-Trump, I think Biden wins. I personally would rather not see that. I would rather see a Republican win, not named Donald Trump.
All right, let's get to it. Another quick fire round, 30 seconds each, and we take it from there. Is the Trump debate no-show disrespectful to the party? Ken Toltz, please take the lead.
Well, other than my other two panelists, I've actually run for office in the United States. I ran for the U.S. House of Representatives. I was the Democratic nominee, and I would not have thought of skipping a debate with my opponent. It's a public service to put out your platform and let the voters know what you stand for. So that's why I'm so upset about him taking all this money from contributors and spending it on his lawyers and not about what is his agenda for the country going forward. We have no idea what this man stands for and what he plans to do.
Erin Elmore, your thoughts?
Unlike my esteemed colleague, I've never run for office and I have never lost either. Clearly, he has. The point is Donald Trump has already been president. He's beholden to only the American people and not the Republican Party. Newspaper articles are currently saying he's the, quote, runaway train in the GOP. Two major national polls show Trump above 60% amongst Republican primary voters. He doesn't need the debate. The debate needs him. And even the New York Times says Trump has a huge lead before the second debate. So he doesn't have to show Chris Christie, Vivek Ramaswamy, or any of them anything.
All right, Yigal Marcus, your take.
Unlike both of my esteemed colleagues here, I have run and I have won multiple races in my imagination. But the reality is, with President Trump, I think he's doing a great service. I think he's doing a great service to the party by not showing up, because I think that we want to avoid the mudslinging right now, the personal attacks. I'd like to hear a substantive debate about the big problems facing America. And quite frankly, I think Americans want to hear a discussion about the big problems facing America. So I think he's doing a great service to the party. I think he should stay home.
All right, and on that note, what should we expect from the debate? Will GOP candidates go on the offensive, or has Trump, to an extent, become untouchable? Erin?
I think that we really need to hear something from Tim Scott. He's been really promising and sat by the sidelines too long in the last debate. Everyone was focused on Vivek, and now they're realizing that Nikki Haley made a name for herself during that debate. So she is going to really have to go on the offensive, be on the defensive, and show why she's right with her political policies. But we need Chris Christie to just leave this race, because I don't know who likes him at all. Feel bad for Doug Burgum. I really do. He seems like a nice guy, doesn't have a shot. And the rest of them, I think, are just going to be fighting it out for the airtime, and not mentioning Trump is the best thing all of them can do.
Yigal, before we move to the other side of the divide, who should be the first dropout?
I think Burgum probably has to drop out. Unfortunately, I'm a very big fan of Tim Scott. He exudes positivity and very fresh feel for our party, but I don't think he's got it this year. I think at the end of the day, we've got to get it down to Haley, DeSantis, Trump. I think we're going to probably have either Haley or DeSantis pretty early on in this campaign go neck and neck. And with Trump only getting around 50% of the vote so far in the current polls, I think you're going to see one of those two candidates really give President Trump some run for his money.
Ken, let's talk about the Democrat. Is it Biden all the way? Is there any change for chance for a change?
I think Joe Biden ran an excellent campaign in 2020, and there's no reason to think he won't run a very professional, very focused on the voters' needs campaign for this next coming election. And that's what this is all about. I'm just shocked to hear Erin talk about this as if the voters don't exist, and if the American people don't exist, and what they really care about doesn't exist and doesn't matter. It's all about personalities, and Donald Trump doesn't need these people, and they don't need Donald Trump. It's just so sad what American politics has become. It really is frightening to think that somebody with his background and his values could be the nominee of the Republican Party. This sad excuse for a Republican Party.
You have lost so much credibility as a human and as an honest person by saying that Biden ran a great campaign in 2020. Oh my God, he was in the basement. He was in the basement the whole time.
I believe he's the president. I believe he's the president. And I believe he won 85 million votes, Erin. 85 million votes from voters, Erin.
But
maybe he didn't get your vote and your friends down there in Florida.
But Ken, if we're looking at the overall situation, is a more than mere marginal win possible here? All recent polling suggests the next presidential election will be as close as the last one.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Ellie. I think it is going to be a very close election. It's going to be a state-by-state, 50-state race. I'm proud to say Colorado is going to hold up its end and it's going to vote Democratic as it has many times in the past. And that's what I focus on as well, is do we have our act together as far as the Democratic Party is concerned? And we do have our act together as far as the Democratic Party concerned. We have outstanding people who represent Colorado in the United States Congress and the United States House, with the exception of Lauren, who has to go. I guess Erin's probably a big friend of Lauren Boebert.
Hating women, hating on strong women. Another weak, angry man who hates strong women.
Well, let's put this argument aside, if you will. But circling back to the question, can any event really tilt the results, as in more than a mere marginal victory here, Yigal?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question. Are you referring to Trump or are you referring to congressional?
No. To the presidential elections, can anything happen that will lead to a situation in which it is not really, a vote-by-vote victory here?
Absolutely. Everyone drops out except for one candidate, and they do it very early on. And then we have a substantive campaign between two people about the issues facing our country. And so hopefully the next or the fourth debate could actually be between two candidates that Americans can choose from, either President Trump with his great policies but questionable, difficult personality to love for many, or another candidate who she claims has never lost a campaign before.
Erin, do you foresee any game changer?
I think it's a long way out, and I still do believe there is a lot of time. I do believe there's going to be fewer mail-in ballots, which probably will change a couple of things. And I think as this migrant crisis touches Chicago and New York and Boston and all of these major cities, those people who voted Democrat religiously are starting to rethink their vote. This is not a problem that was caused by the Republicans. It's caused by an open border. And you see parents that have migrants living in their school gym. You see street corners that they can no longer walk down because they are littered with illegal aliens. And this is really touching every corner, like Mayor Adams of New York has said. And this might really change hearts and minds come 2024.
Ken, wrap it up for us.
Well, we're talking about a man who is going to be in 4 various legal actions and trials of this coming year and 91 indictments. I don't see any comparison between that person and Joe Biden, who's had a very distinguished career for over 50 years in the United States Senate, and now as vice president, and now as president of the United States. And he's decided to run for another term, and I think he will win another term, and we will have another 4 years of Biden.
All right. On that note,
I pray to God that doesn't happen for our country. I pray to God, because he is so senile and he can't even stand up. Let's pray for our country. We have another 4 years of this inflation, crime, an open border, failing schools. I really pray that we have better for this nation.
Well, one thing's for certain, we still have a few months of fierce campaigning. That's guaranteed. Erin, Elmore, Ken Toltz, Yigal Marcus, different takes on the current situation, but very much of a pleasure to be speaking to you tonight. Thank you very much for your time. Hey, I see you liked it. Want more? Just hit the subscribe button right here. Go on. I know you want to.